Spirit in Sky, Man Behind Desk by Axel Roxanne. An orc follows to the death. That was a phrase he'd heard almost every day, a motto burned into his memory, a comfort that he never took for granted. That, until the day he died, he would always have an orc beside him, a specific orc. So why did he feel like something was over, like there was nothing else to do? As he sat behind the desk in the Thieves' Guild headquarters, a sheet of information laid out before him, he thought about what he'd done. Everything he'd achieved, from escaping Cyrodiil to Skyrim, from his journeys around the frozen province, every single dragon he'd ripped the wings from and pulled down to Nirn. Every single one. Saloknir, Odahviing, Alduin, every single one in between, every single lizard. He thought for a moment, his eyes moving to the bust to his side. The gray fox, a memento from Mercer's home, a trinket, but most importantly, a boast. The gray fox had been a man, a great man, who'd crossed Nocturnal in the same way Mercer had. But legend and rumor told of his nobility, how he'd fixed the mess he made and brought prosperity back to the Thieves' Guild, how he'd been a true and noble thief. Not like Stilicho, nothing like the Spirit in Sky, nothing noble, nothing beyond the cheeky smirk of a cutthroat sat in that chair, coated in blood, looking around the room at his comrades, or at least half of them, the half that stayed quiet. They mattered less than the razors, his true strings under the skin of this country. The razors, the blades that cut the veins and drank the coin that dribbled out. He'd spent the last week personally visiting bandit camps, visiting each and every one he knew would be an issue, and taking over. Tributes, payments. Each and every little raid sent him something that kept them safe from his ire, something that let them carry on with their cute little tyrannies. There was none that could stop him, Stilicho, bandit king of Skyrim. He smiled a little as he looked over to the orc clad mostly in Daedric armor, whose helmet sat on the table before him. He was quietly eating some chicken, ripping the skin from the bone with his teeth and tossing the bone into the cistern they all lived in like sewer rats. Dargo, his most beloved companion, who'd spent tireless hours reminding him that he was there, the big oaf standing with his hammer raised, right behind the spry little elf, at all times. Dargo, his most faithful, most loyal, who never raised an eyebrow, who never misstepped, who never had much complaints aside from when he'd been hit in the crossfire. Dargo, who'd been there since the start, and who Stilicho knew would be there till the end. Hood knew that too, and she'd been there until the end. Dargo, whose wall of flesh had been there to comfort him in Hood's passing, standing in the face of dangers, whose reminders had only gotten more important and sincere after the two had sat for hours in the inn, shedding a masculine tear at her passing, warriors who had given them both a reason, a real reason, to bring down the World Eater. Dargo, who was the only man he had ever shared a warrior's hug, who was the only person in this world he trusted more than his own blades. He made sure to go out there still. Every year, the two would walk to Kynesgrove, to keep an eye on the Stormcloaks in Windhelm, but primarily to see her, Hood. To sit by the fire that burned eternally, and think for a bit. Other razors paid tribute from time to time, leaving gifts and keeping the fire lit, as you do for one of your leaders, but mostly it was just Stilicho and Dargo. Back in the Ragged Flagon, after a moment, the Bosmer stood picking up Mehrunes' razor from the desk, and nodded to Dargo. He felt like a little walk, a little adventure. It had been too long that he had been sat behind a desk. He wanted to head to Silent Moons, to gather some people, and then sate the restless need in his veins. A need for something exciting, something bloody, and most of all, something that wasn't more goddamn paperwork. As he approached the door, a hand pressed into his shoulder from behind. A familiar one, a reminder. He smiled with knowing, true to his heart, and took joy in the words that echoed out of the helmet.